Head lice infestation, or pediculosis, is one of the most common contagious childhood diseases. On the rise worldwide for the last 30 years, pediculosis is caused by barely visible insects found almost exclusively on the human scalp. This educational video gives an overview of head lice infestation and its treatment. It will also explore head lice biology and epidemiology, specific strategies and challenges of eradication, and will examine some common myths surrounding these insects. Contrary to popular belief, head lice infestation has little to do with personal hygiene. In fact, head lice are totally non-discriminating and can infest people of any lifestyle, age, race, or socioeconomic status. However, they are most commonly found on children between the ages of 3 to 10 years. Since lice multiply and spread quickly from host to host, children are especially susceptible because of their close contact in environments such as daycare centers, schools, buses, summer camps, and playgrounds. Infestation surges in September and October as children return to school and are in contact with many other children. It becomes less significant in the following months as a certain control over the outbreak is achieved. Head lice are grayish in color and are barely visible to the naked eye, ranging from 2 to 3 millimeters in length and about 0.5 millimeter wide. Identification of lice can be difficult as they move very rapidly upon 6 legs. Lice require warmth and humidity to survive, and so tend to be most concentrated around the back of the host's head and behind the ears. At the top of the insect's head are pincers, which pierce the skin of the scalp to draw blood for nourishment. Head lice multiply quickly during a 30-day lifespan. A single female may lay up to 150 eggs or nits during her lifetime. Nits are silvery white in color, oval in shape, and may look to the naked eye like tiny grains of sand cemented to the hair shaft. Laid close to the scalp surface, they are fixed to the hair shaft with a water-resistant substance that acts like glue. Nits are smaller than adult lice, but are generally easier to identify because they're more numerous and don't move. 7 to 9 days after being laid, the nits hatch and give birth to young lice who then start their own life cycle. Many common misconceptions surround head pediculosis, especially when it comes to its mode of transmission. Some of the more common of these myths include: myth: the presence of lice is a sign of poor personal hygiene. Fact: in fact, head lice seem to prefer a clean scalp and otherwise show no particular preference for a human host's sex, race, age, or socioeconomic status. Myth: only children are susceptible. Fact: lice show no preference for children over adults. However, infestation is more common among children between 3 and 10 years because of their tendency to be in close contact with others, especially at school. Myth: long hair encourages infestation. Fact: since head lice are only interested in the immediate area of the scalp, cutting the hair will neither prevent nor alleviate infestation. Myth: lice can be contracted from plants, animals, and pets. Fact: humans are the only hosts head lice survive on. Head lice cannot live on animals, pets, or plants. Myth: lice can jump and fly from one person to another. Fact: head lice have no wings. They can only crawl, so transmission comes only from direct contact with other infested people or their belongings. Indirect transmission can occur through sharing personal articles that come in contact with the scalp, such as hats, scarves, hair accessories, headgear, headphones, and so on. Dispelling these myths will help alleviate unnecessary fears while fostering patient compliance. The main symptoms of head lice infestation are itching and irritation of the scalp. Itching is usually persistent and more intense during the night. In severe cases, bites may become infected when scratched, causing red spots on the scalp. Head lice infestation can be diagnosed by confirming the presence of living lice or viable nits on the head, especially at the back of the head and behind the ears. They are visible to the naked eye or with the use of a magnifying glass. A fine-toothed comb can help remove lice for easier identification. Although nits are generally easier to detect than lice, they can be confused with specks of dandruff, skin debris, or hair product residue. This mistake can be avoided by testing the adhesiveness of the specks to the hair shaft. Unlike other substances, nits cannot be removed easily with fingernails or by washing the hair. It's important to be aware that the mere presence of nits in the hair does not necessarily indicate current head lice infestation. It is the distance between the scalp and the nits themselves which determines whether or not the nit is viable. In general, nits situated further than 6.5 millimeters, or 1/4 of an inch, from the scalp are empty and therefore non-viable, so they pose no threat. If living head lice or viable nits are found on a student, the school nurse or the proper authorities should send the infested child home with a letter to the child's parents, explaining what the problem is and suggesting that the child see a pharmacist or physician for treatment. Parents and children should be assured that they are not to blame for head lice infestation, that there's no need for panic, anxiety, or embarrassment, and that the problem can be resolved quickly and effectively with the proper treatment and precautionary measures. If more than one student is found to have head pediculosis, a sample of children from each grade should be examined by the nurse in order to estimate the degree of the outbreak. If the infestation becomes difficult to control, the nurse may need assistance from the local public health department to fully evaluate and control the problem. A variety of pediculocidal treatments are available in the form of shampoos, cream rinses, and aerosols. To varying degrees of success, these pediculocidal treatments also function as ovicides, killing nits as well as lice. Depending on the product type, the treatment may need to be left on the hair for 8 to 12 minutes. Properly administered, the application should kill all lice, but some nits may survive. Most pediculocidal treatments require a second application after a given period of time in order to wipe out any lice which may have hatched from surviving nits. In order for treatment to be successful, instructions for how to use the product must be strictly adhered to. Misuse or repeated dosages of pediculicides can render treatment ineffective, making the problem worse or even cause harm. The use of a special comb to remove nits and head lice after application of a pediculicide is essential to successfully completing treatment. In accordance with standards, this comb must have a space of no more than 0.3 millimeters between each of its teeth, or nits will remain in the hair. Immediately after rinsing the pediculicide from the hair, the fine-tooth comb should be used on a small lock of hair at a time, combing towards the scalp and then back to remove all nits and lice. This operation should take about 2 hours and requires a great deal of patience, but must be done in order to avoid reinfestation. Head lice can live for about 48 hours away from the host, and nits can survive for up to 2 weeks. So another important precaution for preventing reinfestation or infestation of other family members involves the disinfection of personal articles and other items that are likely to have come in contact with the scalp. These may include hats, scarves, hair accessories, towels, and bedding items. Clothing which may have come in contact with the patient's hair should be washed in very hot water and dried in the hottest cycle of the dryer for at least 20 minutes. The same should be done for towels and bedding items. Brushes and combs can be disinfected by soaking in hot water, 55 degrees Celsius or more, for 10 minutes. Items that cannot be washed should be either dry cleaned, ironed with a hot iron, or sealed in a plastic bag for 2 weeks. As a final precautionary measure to reduce chances of reinfestation and to control the outbreak of head lice, it's important that anyone who's been in close contact with the infested person, whether family members, schoolmates, or friends, should be informed, examined, and, if necessary, treated. Any other infested individuals should be treated at the same time. Reinfestation has long been a common problem in the treatment of pediculosis. It occurs when lice and viable nits are not totally eradicated from the scalp, or when they are passed back to the cured patient through contact with another infested person or item. But in recent years, a new problem has further complicated the treatment of head lice. That problem is increasing physiological resistance among head lice to certain pediculicides. Irrational or incorrect use of a pediculicide can result in the survival of lice which develop a resistance to that particular medication. That resistance then becomes part of the lice's genetic code and is transmitted from generation to generation, making control over head lice increasingly difficult to achieve. In fact, the use of a pediculicide for preventative purposes can render resistance not only probable but inevitable in the long term. Therefore, to prevent pediculicidal resistance, it is important to follow these principles. Pediculicides must only be used in cases of absolute necessity. In other words, only when the presence of living lice or viable nits has been confirmed. It is equally important to follow the manufacturer's indications and directions for use of a particular pediculicide. After use of a pediculicidal treatment, it is essential to confirm that 100% of the lice and nits are dead. Resistance only develops in lice which survive treatment, or in the descendants of lice which survive treatment. In order to assure no lice survive on the scalp, the use of a fine-toothed comb must be used after treatment. Finally, if a pediculicide used according to the manufacturer's directions fails to eliminate the infestation, it is necessary to use another pediculicide of a different group. With outbreaks of head lice infestation on the rise worldwide, effective treatment is more essential than ever. As discussed in this video, treatment of head lice infestation involves not only the use of an effective pediculicide, but proper administration of such products, and the follow-up use of a fine-toothed comb. Other precautionary measures to avoid reinfestation must also be taken, such as the disinfection of personal belongings and other items, and the notification of people who may have been in recent contact with the patient. Armed with an understanding of pediculosis and its transmission, and with effective treatment strategies, elimination of head lice and control over outbreaks can certainly be achieved.